Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. The old lady that owned a pizza place building in my town. This is a funny revenge story about how an old lady screwed over her entitled children. The actors in this story are: old lady, owner of the building, she's 80 plus years old and has an apartment in the same building as a pizza place. The pizza owner, the owner of the restaurant and a good friend of the old lady. Super entitled son. Take note, this guy is 50 plus years old. One of the three old lady's sons, they are all entitled and made a huge fuss. But this guy was the worst. A bit of background. In my town there is a famous pizza restaurant. It is in a prime spot and always busy. I have known the pizza owner place since I was a kid. And I know he makes tons of money from the restaurant. He have told me that he makes between $2,000 to $10,000 in profits each day. But he did not own the building and have wanted to do it since he started renting. The old lady always refused to sell, no matter the offer, and trust me, she has received huge offers. The story. This happened over a year. The old lady received an offer from a bank for the building, and everyone in town learned about it, because the offer was for over $1 million. This is an incredibly high amount in my country. Of course, the old lady refused to sell. And here comes the entitled kids. Apparently, all three learned that their mother got this massive offer, and because she's getting old, they wanted her to sell to move her to a retirement home. Since then, they have been insisting on her selling. That it's the best she's going to get, and it will be the best for them to get that much money in their inheritance. Apparently, this angered the old lady so much, she went behind her children back and offered to sell the place to the pizza owner for a fraction of the bank's offer. From what the pizza place owner told me, she sold him the building for about $280,000. With a clause that he's not allowed to tear it down while she lives, and that she's allowed to live in her apartment until she dies. The pizza place owner agreed to the terms by the old lady, and he bought the place. The old lady made sure to have a doctor and a lawyer check her to make sure they got all the legal stuff indicating that she was sane, and what she was doing was on her own will. She was preparing for the crap storm that was coming, and covering the pizza place owner from the wrath of her entitled children. And boy, she was right. A week after the purchase was complete and the pizza place owner became the sole owner of the building, the old lady's oldest son showed up to the restaurant in the middle of dinner on a busy Sunday demanding to speak to the owner. From others people's testimony, he started yelling that the place owner was a scammer, and that he took advantage of an old lady and he was going to be sued for all he had. When the pizza place owner responded that he bought the place and that the old lady was the one that offered to sell the place to him, the super entitled son stormed to the old lady apartment and began yelling to his mother. The other two sons were behind nearby yelling as well, that he was going to take the pizza place owner to court because he took advantage of an old lady, and she was going to say in court that this was all true. He even threatened the place owner that he was going to kill him for what he did. Someone called the police. They handcuffed the son. And this is where it gets better. The old lady told the entitled son and her two other sons that they were getting nothing out of her even on her death. She had already donated 80% of all her money to a charity. Whatever she had left when she died was going to the same charity. The old lady is still alive and well. The pizza place owner who is renovating the place making it larger and nicer. And the super entitled son got a restraining order to be at least 100 meters away from the pizza place owner and the old lady. Next story. My school actually protected me even though I was harassed outside the school premises. This occurred over a decade ago. It happened at the end of my senior year of high school. I'm from India, and girls are still afraid to tell others about being harassed because of shame and society. I was enrolled in a big city. There were almost more than 800 students in my school. So you can imagine the rushing crowd while leaving the school. It used to get so crowded and chaotic because there were parents' cars and auto rickshaws waiting to pick up the kids. Some kids are riding their bicycles through the crowd, while others run to the nearby vendors for pani puri and samosas. It is almost like an amusement park. One day, while walking hand in hand with my friend, I spotted this weird straggling man looking through a bunch of kids. I thought he might be looking for someone specific and didn't think much about it, but I must admit he was creepy. I saw him again a few more times daily, but one day when I was walking with my friend making our way through the crowd, that man crossed me. I was about to collide with him and try to avoid him, but instead he pushed me and grabbed and pinched my skin so hard that it began to hurt a lot. He was so smooth with his actions that my friend who was by my side couldn't tell what happened. She kept asking me what was wrong. But I just walked mindlessly to my auto rickshaw and sat there and told her to go away. She understood and walked away as she used to live nearby. I was so shaken that when I got home and saw my parents, I bursted into tears. Because I'm the only child, I was never afraid to tell my parents anything. And I told them everything. My dad was pissed. And that's where our revenge started. I have never seen my dad so angry before. He drafted a plan to trap Sleazeball with his friends. We will name them Uncle and Uncle 2. My dad was friends with our school principal. He visited him when I was attending my school the next day, as if nothing had happened. And they told me not to tell anyone. Our principal was great and assured us that even though it happened outside the school, they would fully cooperate to trap the sleazeball. At lunch, they called me into the principal office and told me that Uncle 1 and 2 would be scattered in the crowd with my English teacher. The school gatekeeper will be near me, and my dad will be near the shop where I usually spot the man. They instructed me to walk normally with my friends and avoid them as if they were strangers, but to alert the nearest person as soon as I spotted the sleazeball. My dad and others were there the whole day, and at 5 p.m., it was time to execute the plan. As I was instructed, I was walking casually with my friend. She asked me several times because she knew something was odd, but I told her to shush and enjoy the show. And then I spotted the sleazeball actually harassing my other classmate, and I actually alerted Uncle 1. Initially, it was planned not to hit him and just call the police, but he was caught in the act, so Uncle 1 dragged him away and started beating him. Soon my dad, the other uncle, and the gatekeeper joined him. Then my English teacher handled the situation and dragged the sleazeball inside the school gates and into the principal's office. My classmates surrounded me with questions, and I gladly answered them and stayed outside the gates with them. After a few minutes, I was called into the principal's office where I saw the sleazeball. I thought they might ask me some questions, but the principal gave me some apple juice and told me to relax. The sleazeball was there crying, begging to let him go as he would never do it again. He was badly bruised and his clothes were torn. After a few minutes, the police came and took the sleazeball. And he was giving me such a deadly look that it still gives me the chills. My father and everyone else in the room were so happy and smiling as if there was a celebration and told me that they were so proud of me as I had saved multiple girls that day. I still don't know the details, but the school took full responsibility for our safety. Put that man into jail. CCTVs were installed within a week, even in a parking lot to cover the area outside the school. Next story. I had an office food thief, so I bought a nanny cam. A couple things about me that made it really suck to have a food thief. I have a lot of food allergies, so I can't just get lunch at the cafeteria or at a nearby restaurant. I have a new baby who I'm breastfeeding and who I pump for when I'm at work. You know how hungry pregnant people are? Yeah. The caloric requirement for breastfeeding is 100 to 200 calories higher. I am always hungry. Because I have a new baby, half the time I don't manage to show up at work for lunch. I either run out of time to pack one, or if I do remember, I leave it on the counter. My solution to all of this was to leave lots of non-perishable snacks in my office, and also a lot of candy, because I also have a 3-year-old and therefore work is the only place I can shovel Skittles into my mouth without a little hand extending into my field of vision and a little voice saying please. Snacks that were specifically free of my allergens, some of which were specialty foods because of this. The type of specialty food that just doesn't taste as good as food that contains the allergen, and also costs twice as much, because I'm not getting a lot of sleep right now. I deserve nice things. So because I'm not getting a lot of sleep right now, when I first came back from maternity leave, assembled my snack hoard and started having things go missing. I genuinely thought that I was just losing my mind. Boxes of candy were running out faster than I thought I was eating them. I'd come in the morning and things wouldn't be where I'd left them. At one point I brought a bag of chips to work, folded the rim of the bag down so I wasn't plunging my arm elbow deep into the grease pit, and then put a bag clip on it when I went home. And when I came in the next morning, the bag was unrolled and reclipped. I went, wow, I must be more tired than I thought. Rolled the bag back down and the next morning it was unrolled again. Just little things like that. Almost every day. And that made me go, wow, the post-baby brain is worse than I thought. And then I got the flu, and I was out for a whole week. Left behind at the office was an almost full box of Enjoy Life cookies, which are not enjoyable but are free of all major allergens, and are also $5 a box for like 12 sad little sand pies with some cinnamon on top. I ate one row of these cookies, and then I was out of the office for a week. For 1 week I was not eating any of my snack hoard, but someone else was, because I came back to work, opened my box of cookies, and found one. There was one single solitary cookie left, and on further examination, the one box of candy that had been opened was nowhere to be found. And on top of that, the thief had done me the courtesy of opening a new box for me, except that they actually followed the push here to open instructions instead of just ripping one end of the box open like I do, which they should know very well at this point, because by this time they have been stealing from me for 2 months. The combination of these two things, sheer freaking audacity it takes to open a new box so you can continue stealing from someone, on top of the consumption of almost a whole box of specialty cookies that aren't even good, enraged me enough that after going to my boss and getting some vague promises about checking if the security cameras in my wing of the building are functional or not, I went straight to Amazon and ordered myself a nanny cam. Not for my baby, but for my snack hoard. Conveniently, it arrived the day before Valentine's Day. I set it up on top of a file cabinet looking down at my desk. On the desk I laid out a fantastic spread of baked snacks. I got all my thief's favorites. And then I took it one step further. I bought myself a Valentine heart, broke the seal to make it more inviting, and left it out on my desk. The next morning, I came into some very obvious snack carnage. My thief had slowly been getting more brazen. Again, who opens a new box of something and opens it differently than the person they are stealing from? But this was just on another level. Individually wrapped things had been dumped out of their boxes. Bits of packaging had been thrown away. And yup, they had eaten some of the Valentine candy. Poor shame, office thief. Don't you know that's from someone who loves me? I played back the video. All was quiet throughout most of the evening, and I was just watching the shadows lens as the sun slowly set through the hallway window. And then shortly before midnight, the night janitor arrived. And he went right ahead and took a 12-minute break in my office, sitting in my chair, eating my food. I started taking screenshots. I got him shoveling candy into his mouth with foam palm to lips intensity, pouring things out onto the desk to pick his favorite flavors, not even bothering to put them back where he found them. And yes, eating my freaking Valentine's candy. Screenshots went directly to my boss in an email. I went directly to my boss's door to hover and grin and ask if he read my email. And I got assurances of a strongly worded email to the cleaning company and the parring of this particular employee from our place of business. I was also tactfully asked to please take my unauthorized spy camera home, which I did. I thought this was over until the girl who works the concession stand dropped by to thank me. Apparently, the food thief would start his shift just as she was closing down for the night. I would try to get free coffee in that creepy guy way. And then one of the reception staff came by with the same sentiments. I had never met the guy face to face, but apparently as a woman it was not a fun experience to have. I'd shown my screenshots to a few co-workers, and word had spread fast. I worked an earlier shift, so I did not recognize him. But people whose shifts overlapped with his did. I hadn't told my husband about what I'd done because when I came home raging about the blatant theft that had gone on while I'd had the flu, his only response had been, "You really shouldn't be leaving food at work then." But when I came home with a nanny cam and explained where and why I gotten it, his reaction surprised me. He told me, "You know, I think this is the first time I've seen you stand up for yourself. I'm proud of you." And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.